Spectacular tennis rivalry under the hot Houston sun in a match that some felt was one of their greatest ever. Martina took control in the first set and won it 6-3. But the court is clay, Evert's specialty. In the second set, Chris Evert hung tough and stormed back to take the set easily, 6-1. These two tennis greats, who have spent a total of 12 years ranked number one, battled back and forth in the third set. Martina just 2 points away from victory at 5-4, couldn't put Chrissy away. The set went into a tiebreaker, and with a score 6-4, Chris hits the shot that ends the nearly 3-hour-long struggle. And today, one of the most compelling sports rivalries of all time continues. From the Westside Tennis Club in Houston, Texas, Home Sports Entertainment presents the Virginia Slims of Houston. Today, the singles final matching Chris Evert against Martina Navratilova. The Virginia Slims of Houston is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more? And a very pleasant good day, everyone. I'm Greg Lucas on this breezy but sunny day here in Houston as we get set for the singles final. And I'm joined by a couple of veteran tennis stars and commentators. On my right, Kathy Jordan, who's out right now because of an injury. And on my left, Jim Parker, who, of course, has been with us on many of our telecasts on HSE. We have a couple of great names in tennis, certainly, that are going at it here in this championship. And who better to start with than Martina Navratilova, who has been on top and right now is ranked number 2. She's got to take on Chris Evert, someone she's had some problem with on this surface.
Yeah, last year in Houston, Martina lost to Chris in the finals here, and also in the Australian Open earlier this year. But right now, I'd say Martina's on a roll. She's won 5 tournaments, and this being her 6th tournament that she's in the finals here this year. So I think we're looking for a good final, and Martina is definitely the favorite today.
Especially perhaps because she lost here last year, the revenge factor?
Well, that was a great match last year, and I think on clay, you know, that it's going to be a more even match, that Chris's best surface is on clay. But I don't think that, you know, the revenge factor is there. It's been a year. She's played Chris in between. There's a lot of matches going on, so I'm sure she's thinking about it, and she wants to make up for it.
Well, there's one vote for Martina, maybe, as a pick to win. Jim Parker, an analysis on Chris Evert. You, of course, followed her career for many years. She's ranked number 3. Pressure's somewhat off because she's not 1 or 2, but she plays well on this type of surface, and, you know, she wants to defend that title.
Yeah, I do think that really is a factor. I think the fact that she... if she wins, it's a great win for her now. And if she loses, everybody kind of says, well, you know, she's had hers, and she is probably limited number of years that she's really going to continue playing. But I also think that that can make her a little bit more dangerous. She's always been a little bit more comfortable on clay, and she has a winning record against Martina on clay. Instantly, I think she's won 10 out of the 13 times they played on clay, which, you know, that goes back a long way. But she did beat her here last year, and she seems to be able to get up when she really needs to. And in fact, she beat her in the Australian Open earlier this year. So she's still really competitive, and I think a lot of it just depends on what kind of day they have out here today.
Well, it's a beautiful day, a little bit breezy right now. Now, this is the 77th meeting between these two. Chris has the big advantage on clay. Overall, Martina leads by 4, 40-36. We'll see what happens in this, the 77th matchup, in just a couple of minutes. You stay with us. We'll be back in Houston after this timeout. As you can see, she's 33, but hasn't lost much off that ranking. Martina has driven a little bit long here. Both the same type of situations where she's missed points. Evert leaves the baseline at the right time. 40-15. So Evert wins the first game. Any general observation on that first game?
You know, I think the first game is such a strange game sometimes. You're trying to get your feel, trying to get your rhythm. Even if you've warmed up, you're adjusting to the court. The wind is really a factor out here today, and of course it's going to change each time they change sides from the north end of the court. You're hitting a little bit into the wind right now. But it looked to me really like Chrissy is kind of relaxed and hitting the ball solidly, and Martina made a couple errors that are real normal in a first game situation. She didn't miss by much, but she missed a couple of backhands. One was a chip and one was a topspin ball. But I mean, you can't tell anything from the first game because she held serve, and you're there to loosen up. But really, you feel like if you can get an early start in a match, it's definitely going to give you an edge. Chrissy doesn't. She's not established any kind of superiority, and it's tough to make any reading on the first game. But they're both hitting the ball fine.
Kathy, on a situation like that where you have the wind and you know your opponent, but are you really feeling things out in that first game?
Yeah, I think what we ought to watch a little bit from now on. Martina is now serving with the wind, I believe. So I think the wind, as Jim said, is going to play a very big factor. I think if someone is able to break serve against the wind, if Chris were to win this game, I think it would be a big advantage for her.
Martina Navratilova will be serving. Evert winning the first game. The singles final here. Martina has won over, well, almost $13 million.
Is that all?
As a tennis pro. That's all. But it keeps rising. She's on a string of 5 straight tournaments, including last week in Florida. She wants that #1 ranking back.
Yeah.
Martina Navratilova to serve.
She's gunning for it.
Steffi Graf is right now the only player ahead of these two.
Martina overall has been real happy with how she's played this week. She's been real solid off the ground, and she's been pretty consistent in her match yesterday. She got herself out of a lot of holes that Hakami put her in. I thought Hakami was a good ground stroker. She just didn't have enough to hurt her with. But Martina looked sharp.
First controversy of the match.
Let me check to see if there's a mark on that serve. It is out.
Second serve.
One major advantage with play. You leave your marks. She didn't want to say that. She stopped.
Really, I mean, it takes a lot less to get Martina a little bit irritated, and sometimes she plays better when she gets irritated. Overall, I'd say anybody that's as, I don't know, as fragile as Martina can be, it really can be a factor sometimes.
Yeah. It's surprising to see her get upset that early. Just shows you how eager she is to win this match. She's a little touchy.
Yeah, she's really.
Well, I don't think she's happy. She's not sharp yet at all. Some of the shots she's missed were ones she wouldn't ordinarily miss.
She really blew it in.
Yep.
And there's another example. She's missed some shots. She is not, a lot of unforced errors.
I don't know. I mean, here's the replay. This is where Chrissy lobs up that ball that blows in with the wind. Perfect use of the wind there, and really ends up kind of extricating herself there.
Meanwhile, a booming serve.
15-40.
So it's 15-40. Another double fault, and the game goes to Evert, 2-0.
The wind is really a factor already.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to Tim Gullickson a little earlier, who's been coaching Martina, and he said that really one of the things he felt that Martina was doing better than she'd ever had before was serving wide into the deuce court. Now, she missed about 4 of those serves in that game.
She just tried it about 4 times, so she's liking that serve.
Long. Now she's missed them on both ends of the court. In the first game, she was long with a couple of backhands into the wind, and she's also been long with the wind, so she's just not sharp.
Yeah, that was a good forehand.
Yeah.
I think really, though, a game that like Martina has is a little bit tougher at first to get under control. She knows she has to force the play a little bit. She doesn't want to just stand back and rally with Chris all day, and so she's trying to do a little bit more right now.
Yeah. For Chris to win this game here, if she does, because then we're looking at 3-love, so Martina needs to get back in here.
Again, this is, there you see what we alluded to earlier in the previous match. 40-15. She whaps at the air off camera. You see Chris Evert. This is clay, green clay. One thing that is probably making it even more difficult is the wind actually is stronger now than it was when the players were out for their early warm-up 2 hours ago. It was not blowing this much, so they really weren't able to gauge it.
Yeah, plus it's uneven. I mean, it's not like it's blowing at a constant speed the whole time. Same direction.
And the game goes to Evert, and she leads 3 games long. We'll be back with more from the Virginia Slims of Houston after this timeout.
Seeing her go out, but those earlier matches have a lot to do with what happened here today, what kind of momentum they develop through the week, and whether they feel like they're playing well in the earlier matches.
Exactly, and especially if they get tired from a match.
Navratilova still having problem with that first serve.
Love 15.
Love 15. You know what we're seeing here with Evert in command primarily on missed shots by Martina is Very much unusual. She has won 29 straight matches. This is Martina, and she's only lost 2 sets during that time in 5 straight tournaments. 15 all.
That's kind of vintage Martina there.
Yeah.
Chrissy, you're right, has not had to do a lot so far. She's been solid, but she hasn't had to be spectacular in any way.
That, of course, has been mostly her career, just mistake-free.
Martina cannot establish her attacking game. We're going to see a split screen here. Here we can see Chrissy, I think, hitting the passing shot. Here she goes there. But if Martina has trouble establishing her attacking game, she's going to have trouble in this match because she's got to dominate Chris in order to win.
Second serve. Just as we spoke, that she hadn't been making some spectacular shots, she's certainly made some nice workmanlike ones on the passing lanes.
Here's Martina. We're going to see her approaching, coming to net. And Chris hitting for the second straight point, her forehand pass down the line.
Her third service of the 4 in this game has had to go to a second serve.
Critical point here. I really think this is probably the biggest point of the first set so far.
I think you're right. Martina can get this game, and this point obviously she needs.
And again, she'll have to go on a second serve.
Sometimes you get an idea of what a player's overall plan is against another player just by seeing how they play those big points. It looked to me like Martina wanted to go in, but she's getting a little bit tentative about getting in there.
And then also you can see Chris hit about 7 straight balls to Martina's backhand, waiting for the error, and she got it.
That is probably at least 5 times that she's just missed the back line.
She's not missing by much, but it's enough to lose the point.
Perfect shot.
That's the pattern that Chrissy does not like for her to get into. I think we're going to see the beginning of the point here. Here's Chrissy serving, but what will eventually happen is that Martina gets in on her forehand approach shot, and it's wide to Chrissy's backhand, so she's in a tough position. What's beautiful.
Second serve. Took off the run.
15-30.
Kathy, if you're Martina right now, what do you think you'd be trying to do?
Well, I think she still has to play her game, and I think she's just got to try to execute a little better. Concentrate to keep those balls in. to see Martina start to assert herself and take control.
15-40.
Well, she needs it. She needs a break. Evert is up 2 breaks in 4 love here in the first set. Just missed.
30-40.
Martina right now is against the wind. Sometimes when you need to loosen up, it actually helps to be against the wind because you can really swing out at the ball. She's doing that. I think that error was really just swinging out at it.
Yeah. It's going to help her to stop being tentative and get over that deficit she's down.
That floated right out.
There's just enough of a crosswind. Now that, that lob that Chrissy hit went in because of it, and Martina hit the other side of the court with it. So here's Chrissy coming into Martina's backhand. This is the way she likes to come in if she comes in at all. Notice how far back Martina is, so she almost has to lob, and it blows out.
Gone to deuce.
Oh, that's a good serve.
And the advantage goes to Evert.
Martina's starting to press a little bit, isn't she?
Yeah, I think it looked earlier in this game at 15-40 like she was getting more comfortable. And now, advantage Evert.
So the game goes to Evert. She has taken a whopping 5 games to love lead here in the first set. We're at the Virginia Slims of Houston singles finals. We'll be back in a moment. In her quarterfinal match, losing the first set, and then Garrison actually tough first set, but then she came back and won it in 2. She's only had to go 3 sets once.
Yeah, in that particular match, I think Gretchen Majors, it almost looked like when she won that first set that she had done what she came to do. There's a real definite change in her intensity level.
She was probably surprised, huh?
Yeah.
Greg Lucas here, along with Jim Parker, Kathy Jordan. Kathy, of course, 2-time doubles champ at Wimbledon. Semifinals at Wimbledon in '84. Has victories over both of our competitors here. Ranked as high as 5th in the world, but currently recuperating from arthroscopic surgery on a knee. She won't be back till midsummer. Well, Navratilova double faults.
There's that serve you're talking about.
Yeah,
Tim Gullickson has her working on.
She looks like she's determined to get her working here today.
Taking an amazing turn.
Set point.
There's been there was one match where Chrissy beat Martina love back about, I don't know, 10 years ago.
No, it's about 5, yeah.
Was it that?
In Amelia Island, yeah.
It's just.
But then Martina beat her the next year, I think, the same final,
like
2 in love. Yeah, so.
Well, the difference here is that Martina would be the one wanting their revenge because they both met here last year, but right now it's Evert off to a super start. And the game goes to Chris Evert. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's 6-love first set score.
When I was growing up, the guy told me one time that you should never beat a good player 6-love. And it's always interesting to see. This to me is a real surprise. It'd be interesting to see how Martina changes or somehow adjust now to the fact that we got a new set.
Last 2 times They met, of course, in the Australian Open in January. Chris won at 6-2-7-5. Boy, is Martina upset.
Kathy was saying earlier that Martina really has it in her head that she wants to regain that #1 ranking, and a match like this is something that can kind of slow her momentum a little bit.
She's having some words with someone in the crowd.
She's very touchy. Here we have Martina and Chris having a baseline rally. Here you can see Martina hit a blistering forehand. Down the line, winner.
All week I felt like she's been hitting that forehand well. I think probably the errors that she's made in the first set have been more backhand errors, but she needs to bring that forehand into operation before she's going to really control these points. I think Chrissy's done a good job of keeping that ball going to her back.
Yeah.
Martina getting very active now.
Yep.
And
she's getting aggressive and psyched up now.
Here we go. Go ahead.
Sorry, coming in off of Chris's second serve. Great lob over her head. Chris hitting a short ball. Martina coming back into the net, being very aggressive. Chris overhitting the pass.
Well, Martina's come in every point this game so far. I mean, especially with the win, I can see where she really does want to get in as much as she can. It'll be interesting to see if that's something that she really tries to maintain through the set.
She should, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's the only way she's really. I mean, right now she's obviously not being successful staying back when she is.
Slipped just as she was getting ready to hit that shot. Sneaker caught on the clay up here.
There we got Chrissy hitting that ball. I think just when Martina goes to come in, that ball almost rolled. It looked like it only came up about half a foot off the ground.
That just got caught in the wind and blew right over the line. And Evert continues her dominance here, leading the first game of the second set. 1 game love.
I think that was a big game, actually. I mean, I really felt like maybe Martina was going to suddenly take hold and get a service break. And actually, I think sometimes, don't you find it hard sometimes to hold serve in that first game of the second set after you had kind of a cruising first set?
Yeah, especially, you know how crucial it is at the beginning of the second set because, things have started over again. You've won 1 set, but so what? You need to get the next one. And that's a big advantage for Chris to have won her serve there, especially against the wind.
Now, as we've seen, of course, Chris Evert for many years had the reputation of the ice princess, the ice maiden, calm, cool, collected. She has had no reason to be anything but that, the way things have gone so far today. The volatility and the anger at certain times at herself and recognizing people saying things in the crowd. It's tough to criticize Martina with the tremendous record she has had, but has that played a part in perhaps some of the times when she hasn't won?
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think she's much more emotional and expresses it than Chris does, and that's part of her personality. I don't think she can change that. Sometimes that's to her advantage that she can then, psych herself up that way. But I think Chris is the most mentally stable. I'm not trying to say other people are unstable, but that's one great reason for the success of her career is because she never beats herself, and she's always concentrating and focused on the match, whereas sometimes Martina might get too angry and lose her focus.